So for me, the most important thing is I want to ensure that every class does have a rep, because it's a big issue at the moment that classes aren't being represented. Now, obviously, that's an extremely difficult thing to do because there are so many. So what I'd like to do to try to ensure this is perhaps pick some, let's say week 4, and get a list of all the, obviously you'll have the list of who has a rep and find out which classes don't, and then try to visit as many of those classes as I can, and then do the same in week 5, week 6, week 7. You know, it'll obviously take time, get a team behind me to do it, because it is completely unfair if classes aren't being represented, and obviously it's not great if they finally get their rep of week 8, but it's better than not at all, you know. So I'd also obviously work with the college reps to do this as well, for maybe them to do it sure their own colleges. And also what I want to do is I want to have a really active Facebook group with all of the reps, where they can contact me, you know, like very easily through that, to ensure that any issues they have, I'll find out about it straight away. And also I'm going to try to organise meetings between like the reps, let's say the college reps, and all the reps in that college, which I'll also attend. And also I want to try to organise, take law and Irish for example, it's a joint degree, but there's not much communication between the two. So try to organise monthly meetings between, let's say, the Irish rep and the law rep, for them to come together, which I'll also attend. So it's just so the communication is just going to be key for me.
Yeah, I suppose for my own part, I'd like to build on what Aaron, the current arts rep, has been doing this year, and just kind of keeping in general contact, even if it is like as Aaron has been doing through emails and stuff like that. Just make sure the class reps are always informed, and that they are actually, you know, doing their job, or representing their class and keeping in communication with their college reps. So I think that's one way of going about it. Once they're all elected, and obviously get as many as elected as we possibly can. The other area I'm kind of really particular in is you know, their attendance at things like class council and other things which are basically part of the role, because that's one of the main ways we get feedback, and how we make decisions, and how class council mandates us as that active reps who actually are aware of the problems that are going on. So I really want to try and do anything I can to try and increase the attendance of class reps to class council, and to try and make sure that class reps are actually aware of their jobs and their responsibilities, and you know, that we are there for them, that we can, that me and the other members of the SU are there for them, and we can help them in anything, any problems they're facing. Because normally, like, the education officer would be the first port of call, but other problems with students can go beyond that. So I could be a first point of contact to get in touch with like other services and other officers that they may have to go to help resolve a problem. So that's one thing I would like to do. The other issue then, when it comes to communication, is making sure that those classes and courses that may be mostly on satellite campuses, that even if it means just electing, say, a Brookfield rep or a Western Gateway rep or something like to that extent, whereby there would be one officer who could communicate with all the reps or classes or courses who are mainly in those satellite campuses, as a way of increasing communication. I think that would be one way of approaching it and improving the situation that we currently have. So yeah, with semesterization, as I referenced before, the main problems that students are bringing up are exams and assessment. They're some of the main ones. There are other issues regarding timetabling, clashes, and just like there are courses whereby you might be able to take options from other other modules from other courses. Like for example, in the history, you can take modules from Greek and Roman. It's a separate course or a separate class, but you can take modules from it because there's the overlap. But those present a lot of timetabling problems that are that were before grand in first year, just before semesterization, but are now an issue because the timetables just don't work out. So I think timetabling is a big, massive issue that's left over from semesterization that still needs to be resolved. That's obviously on top of other things like assessment workload and exams that need to be resolved from semesterization. So I think that's one issue I'd like to look at.
Yeah, obviously semesterization has been great. You know, I think everyone's benefiting from it, but there are problems that need to be ironed out. So there's both short-term and long-term issues with it. Obviously, main issue people have is the assessment. So, you know, you have the assignments that were generally due first semester before semesterization, they're still there, but also an exam on top of that, you know. So I like long-term to for the heads of colleges to introduce an over-assessment survey and actually look at the course and see, is there actually just too much work being done? Because I think personally, for a lot of courses at the moment, there definitely is. Also, another big issue is only having 1 week to study at Christmas and 3 weeks to study in summer for exams worth the same. It doesn't really make that much sense. So again, that'll be long-term, perhaps coming back a little bit early. Obviously, you can't go back too early because of like CAO and all that, but perhaps 1 week early, like Limerick go back a week before us. So perhaps we could go back a week early and that'll give 2 weeks to study. Yeah, well, it's definitely something that really does need to be looked at, because I mean, adjusting to college life, you know, I came from secondary school and I went like a fine background from Clonakilty or whatever, and I found it hard to adjust to college, you know, and I've been in education at that point for what, 14 years. So for people, mature students or people from the charming community, if they don't have that support at home or just coming into it, it's obviously very difficult to adapt. They might not have the skills to actually, like, how do you study, how do you write exams, how do you write assignments. So what I think is definitely, it's so important, is to have courses for, like, in my manifesto I spoke about mature students, but I wouldn't have it like exclusively open just for mature students. Anyone can go, and there'll be essay writing techniques, exam techniques, just someone like an expert brought in to properly tell people how they should go about doing this, because there are different techniques. We were taught it in school, you know, but if you've been out of education, like you how would you know exactly the best way to study? So I think that's really important, and also have something online, you know, where they can just, people can look in, have examples of essays, different techniques or whatever. But it is definitely something that's really important, because obviously these people coming to college is difficult enough, but then for them to actually succeed in there and maximise their potential, they need a little bit of help if they're not coming from straight from school or whatever. So yeah, that's just really important for me. It's definitely something that I'm going to ensure that happens, because I've spoken to matures as well, and they do find it difficult to adapt. And I mean, we all know it from seeing matures in their classes, they do the most work out of everyone, you know. Maybe they just kind of don't do the right work, you know. Sometimes they're just not so sure what to do, what not to do. So it's definitely something that actually I'm very passionate about, and I want to ensure that they are helped.
Yeah, I suppose in general one of the big issues, and I think it goes for all students, not just certain groups, is the funding. Financial worries and constraints are a big issue that affects all students. So I suppose I'd echo our own president, our new president now, and saying that, you know, third level education I think should be publicly funded. The other issue then, I think it affects a lot of students as well, but I think maybe particularly mature students, based on my own experience, is that them not knowing which course is maybe best suited for them. As in, they have this idea, they might want to do a certain course, but they have this idea in their head, but then that might not match up with reality. So my way of tackling that kind of issue to make sure they stay in college is, like, no one's going to stay in a course that they don't like or they don't want to do. So my way of making sure would be that that there are services there available before the start of semesters or before they can start their degrees, that they're well aware and informed of their courses and classwork and what will involve, and to make sure they're actually, you know, it's something that they want to do and they will be able to do. Because I think that's a big problem that a lot of students face, you know, on personal experience, with mature and with students in general. There are a lot of people that go into courses and it's just not, you know, what's advertised doesn't meet up with reality, and then they get disillusioned and then they might drop out. So I think that's a big way to tackle. I'd also, like, on that point, maybe to have, like, you know, maybe myself or other members of staff or services available that they can talk to and ask about these courses and so forth, because, you know, I know it's very easy maybe to email a lecturer, but they may not get back in touch with you. So there should be services whereby students or prospective students can get information on the courses that they want to do.